guys are gonna want to sit down for this one here. Grab a cup of Java juice, grab your emotional support Grogu, whatever you might be, because today, if you are not a fan of Datacrons, you might not be a fan of what we have to talk about today. We've been talking for the longest time, Relic 10. Remember one time we even played around with the idea, what if Relic 10 brought 100 speed? And people are like, oh no, I hope they don't do that. Let's just say you're gonna wish that that was the alternative. Today, my friends, Cat is out of the bag. CG is testing out a new form of power in this game, which is very reminiscent to those that play Marvel Strike Force. Overpowered, which is gonna be called Relic Delta. And Cat out of the bag, and I want to make sure I make something clear moving forward here. They actually invited me, and I actually got access to it today. An early version on a server that's, separate from the main server to test out this new Relic Delta feature. And I first want to say, big props to CG for doing this. Not just me. They brought in a bunch of other content creators, people from like Discord, Reddit, other, people in the Galaxy of Heroes community that aren't just all YouTubers, because they want a lot of eyeballs on this and they want to keep this closed feedback play testing going in the future. All I will say, CG, I don't have a lot of nice things to say about this feature. I hope at the minimum, I remember the reason why they stopped doing this kind of closed play test thing, because they weren't too happy with feedback that I was providing and others, so they shut it down completely. So if you don't like what I have to say today, CG, I hope at the minimum you don't close it down and stop all these other people from giving feedback on your game, because this game needs feedback to make sure it stays on the course as close as possible. Of course, they could just say, we don't care about your feedback and move on. All I'm saying is if you don't like what I say, ban me from your playtest, but please do not close it out for the rest of the people. Okay, with that said, let's talk about this brand new Relic Delta feature. And as the forum post says here, I'm not able to stream, record videos, show you anything, take screenshots, so you're just gonna have to listen to little old me here. I know that's kind of impossible to do, hearing my voice like nails on a chalkboard. Ain't that right? So I have notes that I could share. I can share my experience, and well, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what you guys feel about it at the end of the day. So let's read their words first before I start interjecting my opinion, and also what I've learned from them when I asked them the question, like, why do we need this? What is Relic Delta? In short, it will be a non-linear way for relics to scale based on the matchup, i.e. how does Relic 5 match against Relic 9? Get a load of some of these numbers that we're gonna talk about here. The team is aware this can affect current playstyles. I mean, it's kind of hard not to be aware from some of the gameplay I did today, which is why it is important to us that this lands in the best spot possible. We don't have information to provide at this time, as things will be actively adjusted from the feedback provided by those in the closed playtest. See on the holo table, I promise you guys, they told us this. They're going to watch all these videos, read all the posts out there, and your comments. So please, you guys at the end of the day, you guys are what keeps the game alive, right? Free to play, whales, whatever. Leave your feedback down below. They will be reading this, because this is probably going to be one of the most controversial, if not the most controversial form of progression power in this game. And in a way, I would say it's probably worse than Datacrons. It depends how you look at it. Let me show you some notes before I share my feedback, right? Because I could twist things and say there are some upsides to it, as we're going to discuss. But here are the notes that I was able to take, and I want to share with you guys. That's not seen inside this post. When I asked them, why do we need this? I mean, and it really comes down to more of a business decision rather than a gameplay decision, and from the way I understand it. Their thing, and we can all kind of fill in the blanks here, they're trying to preserve the value of high relic investment. Because how many times have I showed you counters, or have I shown you how to beat something, and I'm like, oh, look at this. You could take a Relic 3 Phoenix team and beat a Relic 9 Reva team, right? They want to make sure they're rewarding, and I say what you will about CG, they've always been consistent on this. Whatever they design from their systems in the game, their gameplay, they always want to reward people for having higher relic investments, gear investments, mod investments. They never want to reward people for having a smaller roster, investing less in their team. We've seen that with, for example, Paper Zombie, where they didn't want to reward people for having a low gear zombie, so they changed things up. Grand Arena, they're always going to give favor to those with the bigger rosters, with the more recent Grand Arena matchmaking changes. Tiebreakers in Grand Arena always goes to the people with the bigger rosters. They've been consistent on this, and I will grant them, for a lot of the things in the game, like, it doesn't make sense to have a full Relic 9 Pirate team, a full Relic 9 Ewok team, unless, again, you're flexing, and that's where some of the positives could come from this change. But overall, they want to reward people for investing more into their teams, because at the way it is right now, you will be at a massive advantage if you have more of a relic difference than your opponents. And if you don't have as much relics, this is going to compound with all the problems going on in Grand Arena. Well, put it lightly, in a lot of matchups, you're going to get smashed even harder. So that was the reason why they said they wanted this. They wanted to preserve high relic investment, especially when people are doing a lot of relic 9s nowadays for all the different era battles and whatnot. What does it actually do? Well, I can't recall the other 3 relic levels, but at the most, here's what's going to happen. Essentially, what Relic Delta is doing, it's going to reduce or increase the damage depending on the relic difference. At most, they're going to look at a 4 relic difference. So even if you're 5, 6, 7 relic levels different, there's no added bonus for that. But let's take, for example, a Relic 3 team versus a Relic 7 team. The Relic 3 team trying to attack the Relic 7 team, they're going to face a 95% damage change, both receiving and dishing it out. So if you're a Relic 3 fighting a Relic 7, your total damage after everything, you know, mods, data cards, is going to be reduced by 95%, which is basically all gone. And the inverse, put it this way, if you're someone that has that relic advantage, so Relic 7 versus Relic 3, or, you know, Relic 9 versus Relic 5, whatever the case might be, you're going to basically double your damage. You're going to do 95% more damage. So if you did 100,000 damage, guess what? It's 200,000 damage. And if you normally would do 100,000 damage and it got reduced by 95%, well, it's basically 5,000 damage, or however you want to look at it. Huge swing in damage. At the end of the day, let's be real. Like Data Crimes will give a lot of feedback on it. It's going to be here, I think, one way or another. Even though in Marvel Strike Force, Overpowered seemed to have been a failed thing for the game. I think even internally over there, it seems like they didn't really hit the metrics they were looking for. It's going to happen for Galaxy of Heroes. Temporary, forever. I'm hoping they're going to change it, but at the minimum, 95% damage changes for a 4 relic difference is absolutely nuts. 10, 20, sure, okay. 95%. Basically, it's saying, why are you playing this game? why even bothering playing this game? 95% damage. Now, there are some situations where this might not affect much. We're going to talk about that. This damage change does not affect thermal detonators, plagues, explosives. So it's not like plague's going to do 95% more damage, 95% less damage. However, when in the close play test, some people brought that part up, and I guess now CG is going to investigate whether they want to do something about that. Maybe they want explosives to be 4 times less powerful, 4 times more powerful. But as what I tested, makes no difference. Also, this does not affect ship damage. So if you have let's say an Anakin at, I don't know, Relic 3, and there's one at Relic 7, no difference there. Only affecting characters. Now, they gave us some, I guess, things that kind of, and this is true, this is kind of a selling point in a lot of situations. This also will apply to PvE, so Conquest and all that. They said it's not going to happen in the next Conquest, but the next Conquest cycle of that for Khmer, the Stranger. But in those Conquests, you know, for example, Galactic Challenges, you know, territory battles, this will apply there. So in a way, it's going to speed up PvE content. If you're doing like those lower planets, let's say it's Relic 5, and you're bringing in a full Relic 9 team, you're reducing their damage by 95%. You're doing 95% more damage. So in a way, you know, okay, it's going to make that a bit easier, but it could make PvE more complicated with lower relics. I remember bringing this up, I believe. I'm like, well, isn't there a chance PvE content could get more complicated? Well, this was their response. They said allegedly 90%, well, I'm saying allegedly, 90% of people will find it easier to beat the PvE levels. And guess what they did? They looked at the data in terms of what relic levels people are bringing in. So they're saying in PvE situations, in most instances, people are going to have a better time, but there will be people that are going to have a rougher time. So again, I can't show you gameplay from this test server. I can't show you images. I'm going to try to describe the best I can my initial experience. There was a Reva very similar to this one right here, the Ninth Sister Kron. I basically tried replicating this battle 1-to-1. This was in Grand Arena a few days ago, and nothing has changed. Let me show you my relic levels real quick so you can see the difference. And I fought a full Relic 9 Inquisitor team. Same Krons, nothing changed. Let me show you real quick what my Phoenix looks like here, and I can kind of paint a picture for you. The highest relic I have is a Relic 7. I have a Relic 5 Hera, Sabine, Garazeb, Chopper. I was facing, in most situations, minus Captain Rex. Unfortunately, I can't remember what the Relic 1 power difference, the Relic 2 power difference, the Relic 3 power difference, but I was essentially hitting the maximum Relic Delta power of 95%, where I'm doing 95% less damage to them. They're doing 95% more damage towards me. And I can tell you this straight up. It did not go nearly as well. I was hitting at times 300 damage on a crit. I got lucky once in a blue moon. Maybe Captain Rex got me 1,000 on a crit. But like my Sabine, her AoE, instead of, let's say, that 6,000 damage, she was doing somewhere in the 100, 200, 300,000 damage. Or sorry, not 1,000. Somewhere in the 100, 200, 300 damage. No 1,000 there. Huge swing in power. And keep in mind, that was with Datacrons that I brought too. It's not like this was no Datacron versus no Datacron. This is with the Datacrons on us. And because this is one thing I want to bring up, not all battles will be affected 100%. Teams that rely, let's say, on tons of turn meter, or for example, exposes, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Zori, that's a team that doesn't really rely on raw damage. It relies on turn meter and exposes. And if you're able to just roll the enemy and rely on exposes, you're going to be fine. Again, it seems like they might be investigating that. It might change. But teams like Phoenix, we're relying on a turn meter roll. So I was able to keep rolling full auto. I kept going. I didn't lose anyone. By the time 5 minutes was up, I managed to get 2 characters, I believe it was Seven Sister and Grand Inquisitor. But the buzzer ran out. I couldn't kill anyone else because I was doing 95% less damage. And in battles that are 5 minutes long, I need at least double that time, right? If you're reducing my damage by basically almost 100, I got 100% more of my time. So, long story short with all this, I feel like this is worse than Datacrons. I play Galaxy of Heroes because it feels like a chess game. It feels like a puzzle. It was, for the most part, of course, it's been kind of straying away from this. The day I started playing, it was always about how do I put this the right way? What was brought in versus what was bought in, right? What was brought into the battle versus what was bought into the battle. This is now pivoting it very much in the section of what was bought into the battle, not what was brought. And this is going to kill a lot of matchups that can punch up. So a lot of Relic 5 teams, you're going to have a much difficult time fighting Relic 9 teams, right? That to me is the laziest way of creating engaging gameplay. Now, I say a lot of things about Datacrons. First and foremost, yes, there are crazy stats, which are my least favorite part about it. But at the end of the day, those at least go away, right? They go away. All right, fine. We have 5 million% defense, armor penetration, fine. It'll eventually purge its way out of the system. Purge, get it? Because we're fighting Inquisitors right now. But what I do like is when you create seasonal power that adds new abilities. Hey, cooldown increases, turn meter gains. Okay, that's at least a more creative way. Or you release a new character that adds new unique puzzle mechanics to amplify a team. Simply just stat stacking, especially in this way where it's just like, oh, how many relics you got? Oh, you have 4 relics less. Basically, get out of this battle. Is a super lazy way of making engaging content. And of course, this isn't really a game in its purest sense. At the end of the day, this is a game, I guess, for a lack of a better word. It's more about the spending rather than the playing, right? It's a pay-to-win game. And at the end of the day, and this is by far, I believe, the biggest pay-to-win mechanic of all time. The battle was nothing like that, I can promise you, when I was doing my testing. And there's a lot of other situations. But here, I want to give you guys a few upsides here, right? Let me paint a few pictures for you here. Another battle that I did, I took my Imperial Troopers, and I fought against old school Darth Revan team, right? For the most part, my Imperial Troopers are Relic 7, 8, 9. And I fought a Relic 3 Darth Revan team, old school. My Dark Trooper was basically able to AoE nuke out basically the entire team because I had a 95% damage gain. So in those situations, when you're on the side that's able to have that advantage, just like the way Marvel Strike Force called it, I feel pretty darn overpowered. Another couple of positive. This is one other way I would look at this. This will, you know how you find all those cheeky rosters? Like, I have a full Relic 9 Ewok team. Okay, well, that was a waste of resources. Not anymore. Not anymore. A Relic 9 Ewok team is no longer going to be affected by things like a Malik solo anymore. So this will reward, I guess, interesting things that people invest in. This is where the upside comes in. They want to reward you. Let's say you go crazy. You're Relic 9 things you shouldn't be Relic 9ing. Well, guess what? They want to make you feel like you're super powered, reducing their damage by 95%, which also affects things like Drain Life, for example, where Malik does damage based off max health. It'll reduce by 95%, increase by 95%, again, assuming your 4 relic level difference. So those are going to be upsides. Or let's say, for example, I got a lot of funny relics that I like to upgrade. Like a lot of people, a Relic 9 Wampa just got so much more powerful. If you're going to fight, let's say, Relic 5, even 6, 7 teams, and you have that, 2, 3, 4 Relic advantage, you're going to see a big difference here. So, of course, you can find those situations where, yeah, it's going to feel good because you're the one dealing it. But I think for a lot of people, especially now where I feel like Grand Arena territory is in a very delicate state, it's going to compound the problem of pay to win in this game. The power, pay for power that people are experiencing right now. Grand Arena, the matchmaking just doesn't feel good. Datacrons as well. At the end of the day with Datacrons, at least they go away after a couple of months. I do love the seasonal power changes where you kind of get new abilities, right? Of course, I dislike the relic gates that they have on them. I also dislike the RNG, the acquisition, the upgrade factor of it all, but I do like the abilities, right? The stats, I think they should have gone away. It's creates way too weird of a disparity. Like I have to fight 300% defense, but they don't have to fight my 300% defense. But even again, that's point aside, those are gone. They come and go. I guess in a way you could say at least this is permanent. This whole Relic Delta, assuming they're going to push it through, and the solution to it is upgrade more. But if you guys, I know my free-to-play account, I can speak for my free-to-play account. I'm sure a lot of you guys can sympathize with this too. It's already an uphill struggle inside of Grand Arena. Trying to maintain Kyber relevancy. At least you can punch up, right? I can take my, Relic 5, whatever Commander Luke Skywalker team. I can punch him and beat a Relic 9 gas team. I don't know if that's going to work. I haven't tested out every single scenario. Some counters might be preserved that rely on turn meter exposed potentially, but teams that might rely on pure damage output, like let's say your Darth Bane is too low of a relic level. Good luck trying to beat those galactic legends out there that are full on Relic 9. There are so many things that are going to change. Unfortunately, at this point, we're not going to know those changes until we get it out in the wilderness and people start testing out. But I will say we are heading into a new era for Galaxy Heroes. Some good. I think in most situations, it's going to be bad for a lot of people out there. And it's unfortunate. I think there are so many other better ways to make the gameplay unique and interesting rather than be like, well, let's just jack up the damage by 95% or reduce their damage by 95%. Kind of sucks. It really does. But you know what? We'll see what happens. I'm hoping at the minimum if they change this 95% damage and they drop it to 25, 20%, if they really feel like they need to do this, maybe that's at least a step in the right direction. So you guys let me know. Again, apologies, I can't show gameplay right now. Hopefully my notes, my explanation on what this is and kind of drawing that kind of distinction or kind of comparison to Marvel Strike Force helped you out. But I am pretty concerned about this, and I was not a fan of this when I heard about it. And to be fair, a lot of the people that were in this early playtest, a lot of them are very concerned about this as well. But at the end of the day, this is going to hurt a lot of people. And it really sucks that Grand Arena just keeps getting demolished and demolished and demolished. They had the model just right. And the Datacrons, the stats, the acquisition of it, the Grand Arena matchmaking, this. I am worried about it. But, I'm going to play around a bit more. But I will say my heart sank when I did a few battles. It's like, I think by and large, a lot of people aren't going to like what you're going to see here. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for today. We'll see if they invite me again to test out their stuff early. At the minimum, as I say, although I don't really have a lot of positive things to say about this, hopefully at least they keep the playtest with or without me. So that way they can at least get some sort of feedback. Because I think they should move away from something like this. But hey, maybe I'm crazy. I know there are people that love Datacrons. I think it's the best thing ever, and I would agree in some aspects. Maybe there are going to be people that love this new overpowered feature. And again, I could see some upsides to it. Anyways, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And it's going to be an interesting new world in Galaxy Heroes, but we're going to have to figure it out together. And until then, always remember, it's great to be in the Empire today.
Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.